the internet will go down for potentially months.
Go watch The Stitch. It's a really great talk about soft apocalypse events and how it's kind of like a series of catastrophic events that we've been experiencing versus just an asteroid hitting us and resetting the whole thing. Personally, on timelines, I believe this started with the election of 45, and it has continued since then. If you look back at the news and all of the events and different things that have happened, it's kind of been one thing after another, like she talks about. But I wanted to weigh in really quickly on the solar storm stuff, okay? So a Carrington event would not be the same now as it was then. The fires that were reported and all of that had to do with telegraph machines with paper in them and whatnot. And so we don't have the same kinds of systems now. The biggest vulnerability is the power grid system. And that's why I'm always saying unplug for X flares, because if we unplug what we're not using, it reduces the drain of the power grid. You can learn all this stuff from Tamitha Skov, Space Weather Woman. She is a physicist and space weather expert and professor. And she also has a group that is learning ham radio operation, because should we have an event like that that did take down the internet, that is what would take over. Ham radio operation, transatlantic cabling, if, that still works. So satellites are not the only way we have for world communication. And even if some of the they wouldn't all go down, is what I'm saying. So they tend to, in those articles, even though they should be scholarly, they still are clickbaity, and they've been clickbaiting since before there were clicks. So meaning the Carrington event, they talked about that and clickbaiting before there were clicks. So the actual peak of this solar cycle is going to be 2025-ish. So if we're going to have a major storm, it'll be in the next year and a half. And I don't feel that it's going to be the big one. And the good news about that is that the next solar, the maximum of the solar cycle won't be for another 11 years. So we'll be done with that for a while. But this definitely is what's going on, is that we're having these series of events. And part of how I can say with confidence that my intuition is right about these things is because when I started studying this stuff 3 years ago, initially what was coming out of NASA and the peeps was that this was going to be a weak solar cycle, nothing was going to happen, blah, 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 blah. And my intuition was going, I know I just started studying this and I don't understand it fully yet, but that doesn't feel right. And I'm seeing something different, and I think it's going to be bigger than they think. And that turned out to be true. And I think more than a year ago, they came out and revised their prediction model and said, yeah, we were wrong. And it's continued to accelerate in ways they didn't expect. So I do have a good sense of these things. And I feel like if we are going to have a big one of any kind, it'll be maybe next year to early 2025. So I hope that helps. There's so much to all of this stuff, but as far as, apocalypses go, if this is how we're going to dismantle everything that sucks, it could definitely be worse. Although I guess there's some people who would just rather get smashed by an asteroid.